Everyone tells me, follow your passion. But they never said what happens after you do. The sleepless nights, the relentless rejections, and the unpaid invoices starts taking a toll after a point of time. But the most beautiful part about entrepreneurship is that passion is a hobby, and then it turns into a responsibility once you take up the role of entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is the only job in the world where you have to work for 18 hours to leave working 8 hours a day. And that is why I want to tell you a story of a boy whose father wanted him to be an engineer or a doctor, but he chose his passion and turned it into a profession. And here I am. My name is Hemant Sharma, and this is my story. I still remember one of my fondest memories with my father. Waking up at 4 a.m., my father was an Air Force officer, and waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, he would tell me, "Bhag beta, warna kuch banega nahi." So I used to think that anyone who is a billionaire gets up at 4 a.m. and starts running. And anyone who's sitting in a call center is the lazy one. That was the first life lesson that my father gave me, that time is the biggest commodity that someone can actually get inherited by your parents. That was the first time when I realized that I want to do everything in this life because we only live once, right? When I was 16, I had played every single sport there is. There was no sport which I or my parent would not have wanted me to play. So I realized that why not do something where I'm passionate about, which was sports. But one sport in particular caught my eye, which was football. I played relentlessly for like hours without noticing that there is a problem that we have in our system. We have a lot of grounds, but 6 months in a year, they're not usable. Why they're not usable? Because of rains, because of winters. There is no infrastructure for people to actually develop sports. Now, there's a lot that goes from going from a 16-year-old kid to developing a business, and I'm going to tell you a little insight on how that happened. When I was 18, I bought a company from my brother because I didn't have the money to start a new one. So I took a loan and I said that I'm going to pay you back. So I bought a company from my brother. And I started doing an event, which I realized that football as a sport has a massive demand in this country. But because cricket is the first and topmost sport in the country, football always played a second sport. Actually, any sport in India plays a second fiddle as compared to cricket. And somehow, you always want to back the underdog. And for me, the underdog was football. That is when I decided that I want to pursue sports and specifically football and give a better infrastructure to people. By doing events for the first couple of years of my life, I realized that there's a demand where people were seeking to better infrastructure. But infrastructure is not made just when you think that you can do it. It is made with capital. You have to have great amount of interest from that area in the community. And that is where, in 2014, I still remember my partner called me and he's like, so should we open a football field? Because the people are asking for it. It was about 50 lakh rupees of investment, and my savings of my life was 50 lakh rupees. So I put all my savings, I took a 5-minute pause, I prayed to God, and I said, okay, if this is what you have to give me, then this is it. I put all the money that I had as savings, and I invested in a football field, which became, after a point of time, the world's third Adidas, the base, a sponsored brand, had come in all the way from Germany and said that this is what we want to promote in India. So when we saw that there's an opportunity, the only thing that was keeping us away from actually achieving is the capital. So the first stage of my life, as I call it, is the offline opportunity, which is connecting the people who don't have space to play, to actually get them to great infrastructures, meeting them there, and giving them an experience that they can't forget about. Now, the most important thing you have to understand is that infrastructure is not something that is nascent. Everyone understands what infrastructure can do for a community and a country. But in sports, it's somehow always neglected. It's always taken a back seat. And that is what, it didn't sit well with me as a person. I always felt that we need to give back to the society. That is where I started from 2014 to about 2020. We made about 15 of the venues, where we also got a lot of NGOs to come and participate, a lot of kids who were underprivileged. We started giving them education. But I think the turning point in my life, which taught me a good lesson, was COVID. And that's the second chapter of my life. And I call that the COVID curse. The COVID happened, I think, taught me that nothing in life is permanent. Everything is temporary. It's your resilience that needs to come out and your hard work that needs to work for you to become a successful entrepreneur. COVID shut down the entire physical space. And that is when the digital world opened. I was sitting in an office, rejected by the thought that now what do we do? There is an epidemic. We cannot get people to come and play. But that was not the only thing that was killing us. The bills, the rentals, the cost of maintaining of the infrastructure. It took 2 years for what we built for 7 years, it took 2 years for it to destroy the entire thing. And at that point of time, we realized that the offline aspect is only as good as our online aspect. And we started working on our first product, which is to connect the community to what we do and who we are. And that is where Claygrounds happened. Claygrounds came into life when we thought that, okay, we have nothing to gain out of this. We cannot win if we do not succeed in creating an online ecosystem. And that is where we realized that no matter how much we keep expanding our offline presence, we need to create a strong community to keep coming back to us in the times if a COVID happens. That's where the digital ecosystem to us started appealing. Back in 2022 was the first time when we realized that, okay, this is not that easy. Because people want to keep coming back to play because that's where they see a fit. But why would someone keep coming back to an app? To do what? Imagine going to a food vendor where you can only buy rice. And then you have to go to another vendor where you can only buy butter chicken. What about one place where you can buy all of it? Sports as a sector was missing all of that. And that is where it stuck us. That there is an opportunity here. There is something to be made. So we started developing the first ever 360-degree solution of our community, where from the moment you want to book a game, to the moment you enter the field, to the moment you want to see how you have done in your life, because achievements are to be celebrated no matter who is it for. Everyone wants to be Ronaldo and Messi, but to achieve that, you still need to see how you have done in life. We wanted to give that to the community that we have. Slowly and steadily, we started getting a lot of feedback of how we should sustain this digital ecosystem. Today, we have about 300,000 players playing with us. We have sent about 8 kids to Europe, to some of the most prestigious European clubs in the world, to make sure that if we can't achieve the dream of being a big club here in India, at least the kids can achieve the dream of playing in one back in Europe. And the most important part that I learned out of all of this is that no matter what you do in life. No matter how you are in life, you just have to get up every single day, and you have to say, I will do it anyways. If you're tired, you do it anyways. If you're sick, you do it anyways. If you're rejected, you do it anyways. Because you have to fail to realize the importance of winning. There is nothing without failure. And today, I'm standing in front of you, and I'm telling you that there is a great wealth in knowing that you can trust yourself. Growth doesn't come from growing in life. It comes from trusting yourself when everyone else don't trust you. And that is what choosing to be an entrepreneur is all about. But I'm going to conclude this entire thing with one last simple thing. That someone has said, you live only once. I beg to disagree. I think you die only once and you live every day. So why not live every day to make yourself better for tomorrow? Thank you, guys.